Welcome to From Chains to Change, where history lives and hope endures. Here, we share stories of resilience transformation, the unbreakable spirit that shapes our world. Tales of those who rose above injustice and built a legacy for future generations. Every chapter sheds light on the struggles, triumphs that paved the way for change, honoring voices often left out of the history books. If you believe in the power of stories to inspire, educate, unite, you're in the right place. We invite you to subscribe, join our growing community, because together, we can keep these stories alive and learn from the past to shape a better future. Now, let's journey back to Ocoee, Florida, in 1920, a town on the brink of transformation where courage and hope would be put to the ultimate test. Ocoee, Florida, November 2nd, 1920. On the surface, it was a town built on sunshine and citrus, a place of burgeoning prosperity in the heart of the state. The sweet smell of orange blossoms hung in the air, a fragrant mask for the bitter tension simmering just beneath. For generations, African American families had poured their labor, their sweat, and their souls into this land. They were not just workers, they were landowners, business owners, and community builders, carving out a life of dignity and purpose in the Jim Crow South. This year, however, was different. A wave of change was sweeping the nation. The 19th Amendment had just granted women the right to vote, and for the African American men of Ocoee, it reignited the long-dormant promise of the 15th Amendment, a right guaranteed on paper for 50 years, but systematically denied by poll taxes, literacy tests, and the constant looming threat of violence. In the months leading up to the presidential election, a courageous voter registration drive took root in Ocoee's Black community. They held meetings in secret, in church basements and quiet parlors, their whispers filled with a mix of hope and trepidation. They knew the risks. The Ku Klux Klan had marched through the streets of nearby towns, a clear and terrifying message to any black person who dared to dream of casting a ballot. But leaders like Mose Norman and July Perry argued that the vote was more than a right. It was their only shield, their only path to true citizenship. For African Americans in Ocoee, the right to vote was both a hope and a death sentence. At the heart of this movement was July Perry. A prosperous farmer, a church deacon, and a father, Perry was respected not just for his success, but for his unwavering belief in justice. He saw the ballot as the key to a future where his children would be judged by their character, not their color. A future where the law would protect them, not persecute them. We have worked this land. We have built our homes here, our churches. We pay our taxes just the same as any white man. The law of the United States says we are citizens, and citizenship means nothing without a voice. It means nothing if we cannot choose who governs us, who protects our families. They want us to be afraid. They want us to stay silent, to stay in the shadows. But our silence will not protect us. It never has. Today we walk into the light. We claim what is ours by right. I will not be turned away. On the morning of November 2nd, the first to test that resolve was Mose Norman. He walked to the polling place, his intent clear and lawful, but he was stopped, told by poll workers that his name was not on the rolls, a common tactic of disenfranchisement. They claimed he hadn't paid his poll tax. When he insisted he had, they sent him on a fool's errand to the Justice of the Peace, who was, conveniently, nowhere to be found. Word of the injustice spread quickly. When July Perry heard that Norman had been denied, he made a decision. He would go himself. He would not be deterred by tricks or intimidation. He took his shotgun with him, not as a threat, but as a declaration that he had the right to defend himself as he exercised his rights as a citizen. As July Perry approached the polling station, the fragile peace of Ocoee was about to shatter. In the humid air of autumn 1920, a fragile but determined hope had taken root in the Black community of Ocoee, Florida. For months, a movement had been building. Spurred by a nationwide push for civil rights, community leaders like July Perry, a respected landowner and deacon, had led a successful voter registration drive. For the first time, a significant number of African American citizens were poised to cast their ballots. They sought not to overturn the world, but simply to have their voices heard, to participate in the democracy they helped build. But this simple assertion of rights was not met with acceptance. It was met with a simmering, violent rage that was about to boil over. The Ku Klux Klan, recently revived, had made its presence known, parading through nearby towns. Their white robes were a clear and chilling message. Whispers of violence, carried on the wind from white-owned stores and citrus groves, soon turned into open threats. The message from the white supremacist establishment was unambiguous. They vowed that no black citizen in Ocoee would vote on Election Day, November 2nd. They would use any means necessary to maintain the old order. On the eve of that election, inside the small home of the Perry family, the weight of that threat filled the air. The flickering candlelight cast long, dancing shadows on the walls, mirroring the deep anxiety etched on every face gathered around the worn wooden kitchen table.
July, I heard them again today, down by Stark Lake. They were talking about you by name, about Mose Norman too, talking about what they'd do to any man who leads our people to the polls. July, they say the mob is gathering tonight. Men are coming in from Apopka and Winter Garden. They're not just talking anymore, I can feel it. Please, I beg you, don't go tomorrow. Think of the children. What will become of them if something happens to you?
And what will we tell our children? That their father was a coward. That our right to stand as men, as citizens, was worth less than our fear. If we surrender this right, we surrender everything. We surrender the deeds to our land, the school we built, the future we dream for them, the very dignity God gave us. This isn't just about one vote. It's about whether we are to be free men or live on our knees forever. We paid for this right with generations of sweat and blood. I will not give it away for a quiet night. A quiet night bought with fear is no peace at all. His words hung in the tense silence. Outside, the familiar sounds of the night were changing. The chirping of crickets was being drowned out by the distant, angry rumble of engines, the frantic barking of dogs, and through the window, the faint, ominous glow of lanterns and torches moving through the darkness. The mob was no longer a whisper. It was a gathering storm, and the Perry home stood directly in its path. When July Perry's friends insisted on casting their ballots, they were denied. Deputies turned them away.
No vote for you today. Get back home.
We are citizens of this country. We demand our ballots.
As night fell, mobs gathered. Fires were set in groves and homes. Ocoee's streets turned to chaos.
Drive them out. No black votes in Ocoee.
Mama, the fire's coming.
Take his hand, we must go.
As darkness fell on November 2nd, the terror that had stalked the polls during the day found its way to the doorstep of July Perry. He was a prosperous farmer, a labor broker, and a deacon. More than that, he was a respected leader in Ocoee's black community, known for his courage and his unwavering belief in his rights as an American citizen. He had spent the day encouraging his neighbors to persist, to demand the vote they were legally owed. Now, the price for that courage had come to collect. A mob, a mix of Klansmen and local citizens, some of them newly deputized by the very authorities meant to protect him, surrounded his modest home. Their lanterns and torches cut through the humid Florida night, casting long, dancing shadows that twisted into monstrous shapes against the trees.
July, please. They're not here to talk. Just give them what they want. We can leave. We can go somewhere else.
And go where, Lestra? Where do we run to where this won't follow? If a man can't stand on his own land, in his own home, then he ain't a man at all. I've done nothing wrong. We've done nothing wrong, but ask for what the Constitution promises.
July Perry, this is the Sheriff's Department. Open the door.
I know who you are, and I know who you've brought with you. State your business.
We're here for the guns, Perry, and we're here for you.
We have every right. We're searching for firearms. Now stand aside.
You will not take what is ours. This land, this right, it belongs to us. You will not terrorize my family and my community and call it law.
He's resisting. Drag him out. He'll pay for this.
July Perry refused to bow. As the mob surged forward, breaking through the doorframe, he met their illegal force with a legal right, the defense of his home and family. In the ensuing chaos, Perry fired his shotgun, wounding 2 of the men who had illegally entered his house. But he was outnumbered and overwhelmed. The struggle was brief and brutal. They beat him, bound him, and dragged him from the home he had built and defended. While his wife Lestra and their daughter Coretha fled in terror, disappearing into the darkness. July Perry was taken to the county jail in Orlando. He was badly injured, but his captors offered no medical aid. His stand was over. The mob, however, was not finished. The next morning's newspapers would not tell the story of a man defending his home from an illegal mob. Instead, they would paint him as the instigator, the villain in a story written by his own murderers. The headlines were a declaration of war on the truth and a death sentence for July Perry. Before the sun would set again, the mob would return for him, pulling him from the jail with impunity and ending his life in an act of unspeakable brutality. His home stood empty, a silent monument to the night a man's courage was met with a town's fury. By dawn, the African-American community of Ocoee was gone. Home stood empty, deed sat unsigned.
We built this town with our hands. Who will remember us now?
Ocoee became a town with one story erased, its African-American families forced out, their rights buried with July Perry. But memory resists silence. Who got the property, and who was held accountable? Thank you for joining us on this journey through history with From Chains to Change. Your curiosity, your voice, your engagement matter. So if this story moved you, please like, comment, subscribe to our channel. Every time we remember, reflect, share, we become part of a movement that honors truth and builds a better tomorrow. Let's keep these stories alive and learn from them together. Explore more powerful stories right here on our channel and help us shine a light on the past to inspire change in the present. Until next time, keep seeking, keep questioning, and keep being the change.